Hi traders. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Scott and I developed the STP Elite Prediction System. This system is in its fifth generation and I'm excited to show you this latest version of it. But let me tell you a little bit about what this is. So this is an indicator built for TradingView, and this indicator, I decided to build it only because I wasn't able to find something out there that incorporated all the facets of what other indicators, separate indicators had. And I wanted to be able to use those to influence where markers would appear on the chart. And those markers would include everything from when to enter A+ setups to when to get out of a trade, to preserve capital. And that was the crux of why I built this too, was not just how do I make more money with it, but how do I preserve my capital? And with this STP Elite Prediction System, you'll see that the settings and the configurations that I built into it take into consideration everything from KNN, Lorentzian, machine learning to, how is this trade and the candles relating to the EMAs, the supply zones, the levels for support and resistance levels. It takes everything into consideration, which makes it very different and unique from what's in the market today or what's available in terms of indicators that are on the market. So what I want to show you here is some of I'm going to walk you through the different layouts and the different information that you can receive from this indicator. So I'm going to start with a ticker, SMH. You probably are familiar with this. And I'm going to start with a daily candle chart. And on this daily candle chart, you can see I'm running the new version 5. This is all brand new. Some of the new things that I've created in this version to help is this new info block down here. Let me explain the info block for a second. Because we have fair value gap information, bullish and bearish, which is what you're going to see in these areas here. This red shaded area is a fair value gap bullish. This and some of these terms may be new and to you, but you can look them up. This is a bullish fair value gap that was developed, and these will appear real time on every candle. They'll update, and you'll see that down here. So I'm going to take you through the info block first. The first says we're in a supply zone. That supply zone is developed here in the blue area. The price action currently, and this is a real-time chart. This is where all the sellers are going to have orders stacked up, and typically when a price enters in this area, it will retreat as they're selling, and the price may drop unless there's buying pressure. So what you're going to see here is there's an indicator in my info block saying buying pressure. You'll see buyers or seller pressure, which will indicate based on where this is in the supply and the buyer pressure, this tends to push the price up. And what you'll see is this could continue in this direction because we have buyers. Even though there's sellers there, they're going to get absorbed and the price is going to still go up. So it's really a good sign to see buyer pressure in the supply zone. The other thing, and the demand zone works inversely down here at the bottom. So if the price were to come down, you can see here on this daily candle back on March 30th, it respected that and then moved its way back up. The other thing in here is there's an EMA to price. So what you see here is the candles are extended above the EMA lines, and I'll explain the EMA lines in a second. So this is saying that the price to EMA is strong, right? So we're 100%, it's stretched way out here, but it's strong, it's moving in the right direction. And so that's a good sign. You'll see this info block will change. So a lot of you that aren't familiar with trading or some of these terms I'm using, you can just follow down here the info block and it'll explain what you're looking at. The other thing I built into here is, well, let me also talk about the EMA lines. So on a 5-minute to daily or weekly, I believe in the 21 EMA, which is the yellow line, and my trend line, which is my 50 EMA. And I use those in the calculations in between the 5-minute and the weekly. And then on a minute candle, I'll end up using the 9 EMA and a 21 EMA. These will change automatically. The other thing that you're looking at here on the chart is every morning at 9 a.m., the system will develop these, call them Fibonacci lines, support resistance lines. They're here, and they'll be built every morning for you, and they'll last through the day. What won't happen is these won't change from the morning when it opens. These will be drawn out, but if the price action crosses resistance, you'll see this will change to green, and it'll say new support because the price is above it. And in opposite, if the price drops below the support, it'll say um, new demand and or new resistance, and it'll drop below. So I hope this helps explain with the chart. Some of the new features are the info block. The other thing I've done is I've also changed a lot of the algorithms. And so I'm going to take you through the settings to give you an example. So as I mentioned before, the 1-minute chart is maybe different than the other charts, and as well as the algorithms. And so what I've done in here is I have optimization modes. If you're day trading, you can put on the 1-minute. If you put on the 5-minute, if you're intraday, and the algos will change relative to that time frame or type of trading that you want, or the amount of frequency of labels that you want. What I did though is this can be very clumsy for a user to have to come back into the settings and change this, as well as change the chart increments. So what I did is I have this button here. These, you can change these and it won't change anything while this is picked. So as long as you have the synchronization set, I can change the chart, and these optimization modes will change relative to the chart. And you'll see that working in a second, and I'll explain that. The other thing is I develop or believe in VWAP as another tool to analyze where and when the price is going to move. And so here, part of the synchronization is there's a VWAP. VWAP is only used on the 1-minute chart. Anchored VWAP is used on the 5 and greater. And when you're setting this up, you can customize this. Again, I've already predefined what I think works the best. Now, you might trade differently. Give you an example. On my 1-minute chart, I like to see labels right out of the gate. So if the normal trading is from 9:30 to 1600 hour, 1600, which is 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I want to see an open range breakout based on the first 15 minutes. I want to wait for my open range breakout. So I have it set to wait if it's on the 5-minute or greater. If the chart's on the 1-minute, I want labels immediately if applicable. So the other thing that I have set up in here, again with all the defaults, is what labels show, what type of trading I want, like how far do I want to take the ATR out, what kind of risk do I want to take, when do I want to take profits. These are all based on my RSI length. I like that length, and it's predetermined. And again, these are all settings that I've put in so somebody doesn't have to go and do them all, and you should see favorable results by just going with the standard defaults. But if you want to change them because of your trading style, your amount of risk, where you want labels to appear, you can do that. And you can see as I keep scrolling down here, there's all kinds of configurations. The other thing is not everything is just based on a price. It's not wherever the candle is, if the wick's on the top. It actually has multiple technologies working at the same time, which is why I had to build this, and I didn't find one. So if I wanted to see where it is to the VWAP, where the price action is to the supply and the demand, where the price is based on the KNN or machine learning that I built into it, or Lorentzian, or the range oscillator. So you're not even seeing a range oscillator. Maybe you might have an indicator that's a range oscillator. Visually, you have to look at the range oscillator, then look at your chart and figure out how you want to enter or exit a position. My range oscillator is built in it, so you don't see it. And again, what I tried to do is simplify what the chart looks like so you can be focused on what's going on and not have to read everything on the screen and look at multiple things that don't relate to each other. In mine, everything relates to each other. So you can see here when the range oscillator is doing a certain thing, how far stretched, do you want to be for entry and exit? What gates do we want to turn on and turn off when it goes? You can see in here, there's just countless settings, whether it evaluates the fair value gap. Some people like to trade based on where the fair value gap is going to end up allowing the price to move, or it's going to hold it back. So again, my calculations in here are really drawn from all these different variables that you might have in the system. And that's why, again, I had to build this system out. So let me show you, and I'm just going to keep scrolling down, just give you some ideas of what's in here. So a lot of this has changed. So now the other thing I wanted to talk about is, because I use machine learning, it's not just telling you what has historically happened and saying, okay, this is what it's going to do, this is where the price is. My system actually has a prediction option. So here, if I were to show you, this prediction box is shaded, this green area, and this box will change colors and give you information real time. Every candle that closes, this is going to tell you what's going on, what the target is, the confidence level. Confidence level is really based on a typical chart information, where the machine learning is also going to give it a score on where it's going to go, and the ETA at what time it's going to take to get there. So in this case, the stock is trading at $497, let's call it. And I think in the next 30 days, this thing could get up to $535. Again, we have things that we have to get through to get there. We have these resistance points. We have supply and demand. We have news. And unfortunately, that's one thing my system doesn't do, is it doesn't take news into consideration. So that you'll have to pay attention to. But anyway, this is the 1 hour chart. Now, typically when I'm trading with this system, I'll open up the 1 hour chart and I'll try to see what the trends look like. How far back, what this EMAs look like, where the supply and demands were, and I'll look at this chart and see if that really makes sense, if this is the kind of trade I want to get into. And so here I'm starting, let's call it April 1st. We're going to look at and play some scenarios out, and I'll show you what this looks like on April 1st. So here's the big picture, right? This is showing where we are today. And it's pretty clear that if I would have got into the trade back here on March 30th, when it had basically gone down and now it's going to go up, it doesn't matter if you're trading options or if you're trading stock. If you were to go into here and I pick a replay and I say, show me what this looks like here, and we say, okay, let's play it. What you're going to see is this is going to show you back here at that point in time. Now, again, I don't have any labels yet. This is just to determine, am I going to get into this trade? Does it look like a trade I want to get into? And if I stretch this out and I take a look at this, what I see here, the supply and the demand are generating. It's showing where the orders are. The EMA lines, this trending has been going down, but now we have this big daily candle going up, and that just broke through 2 supports. So this looks favorable, but my prediction box says it's neutral. Why? Because in these amount of bars that it's analyzing, it's saying that this is trading in the middle here. So we don't know. Not to mention we have a bearish fair value gap we have to break through, and we're just coming off of the demand. So theoretically, this should go up. If I were just to let this play out for a second, I just want to spend a minute on the daily, and you can see that things start to change pretty quickly. And now I know, geez, this looks like something I want to get into. So then once I look at this, and again, I would have seen all of this happening in the past, whether I have my prediction box or not. I like the fact that these EMAs are moving up and the price action is respecting those and moving in that direction. So I would have decided, let's explore this a little further. So then I would take and I would drop down to an hourly chart. So this is the same SMH back on, let's go back to April 1st. And I want to show you my system has settings in there, and some of those settings relative to how many labels show are based on, if I were to go into here and I say I want to see more labels now on the 1 hour chart, and they are right here. So if I say I want to see 10 days of labels, not just 7 days, and I want to come back to the first so we can kind of play the same game as what you just saw in the daily. So here, while it's generating, you can see here I had an A+ call rating, and the call rating came in, actually probably if I put more days on, let me go back to here, and we'll jump this up to 15 days and see what happens. You're probably going to see back here around the first that there was a put, and then there's a reversal, and then it's going to go up. And so, yeah, perfect. So here, just to give you an example of some of the labels, on the 1 hour chart, you're going to see labels that are larger. They have confidence levels in them. They have pricing in them. And what this is saying here is, at this point in time, back on March 27th, on this is a 1 hour candle, it said 99% confidence level, the price is going to go down. And so from this candle, you can see here, the gray areas are after hours when the market's closed, and it opened up. And then what you're seeing is add labels. Now, if you're buying stock or buying options, it doesn't matter. I'm calling it a put. That means the price is going down. If you're buying stock, then you're not buying it unless you're shorting it. But in this case, we're trading options majority of the time. So I just put the terminology to reflect options. And so put means it's going down, calls means it's going up. Pretty obvious. Adds in the middle of a trade, the add would be either keep shorting the stock or keep adding to your puts that you've already set up. And so here you can keep adding to that position, and growing your position, because the confidence is it's still going to keep going down. And you can see it did. Now I can do the replay. I don't want to spend a lot of time here because I'm going to show you some really neat stuff when we get down to the 1 minute and the 5 minute charts. But again, these labels, if I did a replay, you would see them start to develop. You'd see the prediction box. You'd see the supply demands change. You'd see the EMA lines moving around. So there's some new symbols in here I want to describe that you're looking at. So we know add. Now, if you look here, this said get into a put at 374.52, and it said get out at 377. You're going to say, gosh, that's wrong. I'm not making any money doing that. Well, you're not. You're actually, the exit signs are the sign when it tells you the trade is breaking down. Now, there's an exit stop, means that's totally failed. There's just no reason, just the price is horrible and you're going to lose. And these will appear based on your threshold of pain. I've already predetermined mine, and this is how you're going to see them if you agree with me. I don't want to lose a lot. I want to get back into a positive trade, and I'll cut my losses. So this is a stop, exit stop. That means the price is just horrible. The exit RO flip. Now, these ones are kind of cautionary, as well as there's an exit EMA. And the reason that these are different than the stop is an RO is a range oscillator. If you've ever seen the range oscillators colored or whatever you add to your charts, the range oscillator is changing. you know what, let me just show you real quick. I'm going to add a range oscillator in here, in case you don't know. So if you were to pick this range oscillator and add this in, you can see right in here where the gray label was. Let me scooch over so you can see the label. Here, pretty clear that my system, the label, found the range oscillator. Now this is not, I didn't create this range oscillator. This is just an indicator. But I'm just showing you how accurate my system can be because I have my own range oscillator built into it. But in this case, you can see down here, it was going down. Now the range oscillator is flipping and going up, and my system detected that and displayed that for you to give you a clue that this is a problem, right? There's going to be a change in character that's going to go on here. And so you might want to think about getting out of this trade. And if you do get out, you've technically lost. If you waited this long, you've lost. My system will sometimes put in an alert, and there might be one of these alerts when it was down here, but unfortunately this is after hours. So this trapped you. If you put a put in, there was no exit here because the trend was still intact to take profit. You could have done it either one of two ways. You would have made enough money at this point, not gotten greedy, and not rolled the dice to go through the evening and holding your position. But if you did roll through the evening, you're going to get warned when the trade starts to break down. And unfortunately, at this point, you've lost money. The other labels I want to point out are these labels right here. So these labels are called liquidity sweeps. If you don't know that terminology, go look it up. But how my system uses these liquidity sweeps is it points them out. And typically when you see this, these are institutions trying to drive liquidity, stopping out traders that had stop losses on their trades. They'll get them exited out of the position, they'll drive liquidity, and then they'll be able to buy the stock or options that they're looking for. So these are big orders, liquidity sweeps. You can read about them, but my system detects liquidity sweeps, which also is very helpful. Now, if we play this out, we got out of this position. We lost some money if we waited to here. If we wouldn't have gotten greedy, we'd have taken some profit here. But my system didn't alert you to take profit because it was in the evening at the point when the transition started to go up. So it was hoping that it was going to respect this EMA line and the price would continue back down. But instead, once it crossed, we had a range oscillator flip. It's warning you to get out. Then I actually have in my system, in the settings, you can look at them, but the settings, to avoid whiplash, there's a cool down period. And that cool down period, make sure you don't overtrade or get alerts too quick. And so I had a cool down, wait, and then that's why you're like, geez, how come I didn't get a buy signal right here? It's clearly above, we're in a 21 EMA, we're below the 50. It's going to respect the 50, and it could go. Well, no. My system's going to wait until there's a clear indication of when to get into the trade. And you might have to give up a couple little things here and there, but the point is this is an A+ trade, and that's what I'm trying to give you here. So A+ trade marker gets you in the trade, and now we're off to the races. So now this is showing here, EMAs are starting to converge. We want the yellow one to be on top of the gray one when the price action is moving up. We want the yellow on top of the gray, the 21 on top of the 50. And now we can scale in and add some more. But now we have a little change of character going on here and the price is starting to drop. It bounced off that supply area. And the system's saying here, because it's during a trading day, take some profits. Either cut your position in half, sell a couple of your contracts, whatever. But you don't have to. You can trade how you want. But this is just giving you a clue that something's going to happen here. And it did. The next hour, it went down even further. But then when it went down, it had confidence that it's going to go back up. So it gave you another add signal. So it might seem confusing, but you'll see as you start to trade, it's going to make more sense. This is caution. This is confidence. And so we're going to go through this, and the day is going to go on, and in the evening, and we're going to keep going. Now I'm just going to back out and take a look. Look how good this A+ picked up and showed add, keep going, liquidity sweep. Now this is an hour chart, So if you're buying stock, you would have probably loved this A plus alert here, that 382, and now the price is now today just closed at 497. Not a bad move for an indicator 2 weeks ago, right? So actually a month ago, right? So, and how would you know that? So let's say you don't want to be glued to your monitor and you want these alerts to happen. So in the alert options here, you can go in and pick the alert function. You can say when the alert's going to, what interval it's going to happen on. You can actually say, I only want to get an alert when there's an A plus, or I want any alert that happens. So depending on what level of TradingView platform you have, you don't have the ability to add a million alerts. So you might say, just show me all alerts. That counts as one credit for an alert, and as opposed to building 5 separate alerts, right? So in here, you could say, show me what I typically do on a 1 hour chart. If I have interest in a position, I will set one alert for an A plus call. Once that happens and that alert triggers, then I start to look at the chart, see if I want to get into it. If I do, then I'll set this alert and I'll say any function set me an alert. And that alert will trigger on every put, call, take profit, exit, or an ad. And so these are the pre-canned different alerts that I allow you to choose from, and you can pick these alerts within my indicator. So real simple way, if you're trading stock or you're busy and you're not able to be glued to your computer, you can set that alert up. When that A plus comes on, hopefully you'll have a nice run like this SMH did, right? So again, there was pullbacks, but it still respected it all the way through for a month. And again, you can look down in your info block. You can look at support resistance. You can look at the supply demands that get generated. All these things are there to help you. So this is an hour chart. And like I said, I go from the day, I look at the day and see what the past is looking like. Is this typically been going sideways? Is it been choppy? I will wait, right? There's plenty of other positions to get into. So I look at the day, then I look at the hour. I wait for an A plus setup on the hour. And then what I do is when I actually get into a position, I might drop down to a 5-minute chart. Now you notice on a 5-minute chart, and I'm going to go to just today's, on a 5-minute chart, you get a lot more indicators going on, right? And today, this is the SMH today. And so in here, you could have bought a put, you could have bought a call, you could have taken profit, you could have come back down, waited till the exit comes on. If you didn't already take your profit here, this is where you're losing money. And again, if I scooch this over and you'll see here there's a range oscillator flip. Then you could have gotten to a put and came down, and now it's saying take profit. And so you could go through this and trade it on a 5-minute. And or what you could also do is what I like to do on especially some of these is I'll put a 5-minute chart here on this side, or I'll make a 30-minute chart so I don't get too many labels and it doesn't get me in and out of the trade. I don't get swayed. But then what I might do is